Good evening. My name is Chris, and this evening we are going to talk about doTERRA's MetaPWR system. So our MetaPWR system tonight, we're going to get into it a little bit more, but it is one of the wellness products from doTERRA that is targeting metabolic health. And if you haven't heard that term before, don't be afraid. We're going to talk about what it is, why it's important, and then we're going to talk about some of doTERRA's products that they have that can help this. So, if you're watching this video, you're probably familiar with doTERRA. And one of the things that I hear a lot, which is wrong, is that doTERRA is an essential oil company and essential oils are for women. And that is simply not true. doTERRA is a wellness company. And wellness companies, wellness is for everyone. So that's kind of my reason for being here. I'm a little bit more vocal, a little bit more visible this year with Julie Scott, my partner, and so I'm hoping you'll see me around a little bit more. But this evening, I'm excited to talk to you about this MetaPWR system. It was introduced last year by doTERRA, and it's a couple of supplements and then some collagen. And we'll get into these specifically and talk about those in a minute. But before we get going, I just wanted to remind you that I'm not a doctor. I've done a lot of research on this, both inside doTERRA's literature and outside, sort of confirming the claims that they've made. And these are products that I use myself, and I personally had a lot of great success with. So let's jump into it. So as I said, doTERRA is a wellness company. And what does that mean? Well, they do make a lot of essential oils, but they also make a lot of wellness products. And those wellness products happen to have those plant and tree extracts in them. And sort of the unifying theme for doTERRA is this wellness pyramid. You've probably seen it before if you've dealt with doTERRA very much. But basically, no surprises on what's in this pyramid that makes up your personal wellness. Starting at the bottom, there's nutrition and digestion. And then going up, there's 4 levels of things that you can do every day. You should be doing every day as far as moving and working on your metabolic health, managing your stress and getting your rest, and reduce your toxicity. Don't take bad things into your body. And the idea is that the more you work on those 4 base things, the less you have to work on the top 2, that informed self-care and that proactive medical care. When you get into the informed self-care, that's like taking a look at yourself and saying, okay, what do I need to do? What are the steps that I can take in my lifestyle sections that'll keep me from going up the next level into proactive medical care? So I like the way this was described, that if you spend a lot of time on the stuff at the bottom, the pyramid gets really skinny at the top, and you spend less time worrying about that proactive medical care. But if you're not paying attention to your metabolism, if you're not paying attention to your diet and digestion, that bottom shrinks and your top gets bigger, and you're worried more and more about that proactive medical care. So let's try and keep this as a pyramid, fat at the bottom, skinny at the top. And, this being doTERRA, being the wellness company they are, obviously they do have a lot of products that fall into each one of these niches. As a matter of fact, this is an outdated slide from at least a couple months ago. Down at the very base there, nutrition and digestion, doTERRA has actually introduced a new product for your microbiome health. Definitely important in your nutrition and digestion, but that one doesn't show up in here. So this one is even a couple months old, and then doTERRA is continuing to introduce new products. But as you can see, we're going to be talking about the metabolism. That's the right-hand side of that orange bar there. And you can see the products kind of in there, the orange ones with the brown and orange and yellow sort of color theme. And we'll talk about those in a little bit. But these are all designed to help your metabolic health. So tonight, I've been dancing around it. We're going to talk about what does metabolic health mean. And then I'm going to show you a graphic or two on why we should really be paying attention to that. And then I'm going to talk about the relationship between your health span, the length of your life you live as a healthy human being, your biological aging, and your metabolic health. And so all of those are connected, and we've got a pretty good graphic to be able to talk about those. And then finally, we're going to get into the doTERRA products, and I'll show you a little bit more about these guys that I've teased earlier. So without further ado, what is metabolic health? It's a good question. I actually looked it up. It's not one that we learn in grade school about, cardiovascular health and heart health and things like that. And I'm just coming to terms with gut health. So metabolic health is kind of a new one for me. But basically, it boils down to this. Good metabolic health means your body can digest and absorb nutrients with healthy, stable levels of blood sugar, blood fat, and insulin. It's a pretty general definition. When you look at that wellness pyramid, on the base is nutrition and digestion. So the nutrition part is the raw materials that are going into your body. That's your supplements, that's your whole foods, that's your varied diet. That's the things your body is made up of, what you're putting into it. The digestion is your body's ability to break up those whole foods into usable parts. You can't, build muscle with straight up green peppers. You have to break up the enzymes, you have to break up the proteins and the carbs and things like that to get them in usable parts. So that's the nutrition and digestion. It's being able to take in that healthy food and then put it into a form that the body can use. So when we talk about metabolism and our metabolic health, that's really the delivery system. Okay, so we've taken the raw materials in, we turn them into something we can use. Now, your metabolic health is how well it's delivered throughout the body. Okay. If you think about it, a healthy system would be like a healthy supply chain at a factory. You've got a constant inflow of raw materials and materials that can be used and a constant outflow. It doesn't spike, so you don't have pileups at the loading dock, and it doesn't, drop all of a sudden, so you have people standing around. You want to keep those blood sugar levels stable. Same thing with your blood fat and your insulin. Those things get out of whack, you start to feel pretty bad pretty quickly. And your body lets you know what's going on. So this MetaPWR system is designed to help with that metabolic health. Okay, so that's our definition of metabolic health. Why do we need to pay attention to it? Well, a staggering statistic: less than 7% of adult population in America has optimal cardiometabolic health. And this was a pretty big study. You can see down at the bottom, over 55,000 people over the age of 20 years. And basically, for every 14 people that you run into, 13 of them do not have optimal cardiometabolic health, which means we're all doing something not so great. There's probably some athletes out there or some people that grow a ton of their own foods and get up at 5 a.m. to go work out that might have a good shot at this. But for most of us, yeah, we're not falling into that 7%, unfortunately. So that's kind of a staggering statistic. You could test yourself, or you could just take the statistics and say, yeah, there's a 93% chance I fall into this category. I'm pretty sure I fall into that 93%. That's not where I should be. So that's why this is so important, and that's why doTERRA released this product, was to help a huge amount of people out there who could use a little bit of help. Okay. So I'm going to get into some topics, but really the takeaway is that metabolic health and biological age are inseparable. So I want to explain that a little bit before I go to the next slide. By metabolic health, we talked about what that is. That's the delivery system of all of the good things that you've got from your nutrition and digestion, being able to distribute it through the body consistently. And your biological age is not your chronological age. It's not how many years old you are. but it's really what performance you're at. How is your body biologically performing? So your metabolic health and your performance, or how old you feel, or how well your body is moving and getting along and doing the things that it should be, your metabolic health and your biological age are inseparable. So if you have crappy metabolic health, you're going to feel like an old man or an old lady. But if you have great biological health or great metabolic health, you're going to feel a lot better. And I don't care about your age. So let's take a look at the chart on the next page. And this one is really kind of saying the same thing in graphical form. And so if we wanted to plot on an XY axis, a Cartesian plane, your health span on the vertical axis and your lifespan, the number of years you live, your chronological age on the horizontal axis, we could do it like this. Okay. If you lived a typical life and did typical things and, kind of paid attention to your diet, but kind of didn't, kind of did those things, your health span versus your lifespan would look something like this. As you're younger, you're very healthy, you're vigorous, you're full of life, more or less. And as you age, as you get older and move to the right on this chart, you start to age and things start to wear down on you. And at a certain point, you kind of get to this point where we can pick an arbitrary time and say, all right, you're in poor health, or you're feeling old, or whatever. But the idea is the more years you have, a little bit older you feel. Okay. So that's your typical American. Now, with all kinds of pharmaceuticals and trying to watch your diet, you can improve that with the dark blue line. So if you take care of yourself, you can actually improve that health span, and maybe you don't decline as fast as you would if you know your numbers, your A1C, and all of those, and you pay attention to them, and you take a look at it, and you can see, yeah, you're still pretty close to that typical line, but down at the end, there's been advances in prolonging life, and not necessarily prolonging quality of life. But there could be some heroic measures taken where you spend a number of years just barely getting by, and then finally you die, the end of your lifespan there. There's no nice way to say that. So if you do these sort of extra measures, and you've got good health insurance, you're going to get a little bit of bump in performance. But you are going to start feeling old. And then when you get close to the end, we can go ahead and prolong that a little bit longer, and then the end. So those are kind of the two things that have been out there. Now, with excellent, or with good, I'll even say, metabolic health, you can actually follow the orange line. Now, this is something that might be typical in high-end athletes, or people that really take care of themselves. Guys running the Boston Marathon at 70, women climbing Mount Everest at 65 years old, and things like that. If you control that metabolic health, that delivery system of all those ingredients that your body uses, you can actually keep your health span quite a bit longer than if you were doing nothing at all, or just kind of doing the minimum, going through the motions. So as you age, you don't feel as old as the number of years might typically indicate. And of course, at the end, there is going to be some decline. Time, no one escapes time. And then there is going to be, of course, an end. But if you pick this arbitrary point where you start to feel like an old man or an old woman, and you plot that horizontally, there's not a great improvement between your do nothing and your pharmaceutical modern healthcare lifestyle. But there is a great improvement between those two, and if you really start proactively taking care of your body. So that's the difference between your lifespan and your health span. The lifespan is the number of years you live, and the health span is the number of healthy years you live. So, two people living to 80 years old might have very, very different lives. You might have somebody up here in this area who's still running the Boston Marathon and making their times and getting their qualifying marathons in beforehand. And you might have a person down here who's just barely holding on. And the difference between those two people is your metabolic health. It really is about that supply chain for the things that the body needs. Okay. So this is kind of a reinforcement thing. The lifespan health span gap, the hallmarks of aging begin to appear at about age 25, typically. When you're sort of out of high school in that college age and a little bit beyond, you feel invincible. You can eat anything you want. You can get dinged up and wake up and stretch out and go to work the next day. Your muscles aren't terribly sore. But that's when you kind of start to feel it. And what that is in part is a drop of a chemical called NAD+. And that molecule, which is critical to your metabolic function, starts to decline at about then. Okay. And with that, your metabolic function starts to decline. That NAD+, I'm going to get a little bit nerdy on you, but that NAD+ is a molecule is a molecule called nicotinamide adenine dinucleotide, or NAD+. And it is a coenzyme found in every cell in the body. It is one of the most important. It's involved in a lot of cellular functions, but this one happens to be very important in the mitochondrial function of the cells. And mitochondria, powerhouse of the cell, thanks to internet memes, we all know that. So if you're a biochemist, this is really one of the coenzymes that helps convert food into energy, adenosine diphosphate into adenosine triphosphate. We get our energy from the degradation of ATP to ADP. This is one that does the process in reverse. So if we're making less NAD, then we're making less, or it's harder for us to make that energy in the mitochondria and in promoting that in ADP to ATP. So thus endeth the nerdy talk. So metabolic health, what are the obstacles? What are the things that are getting to us? Okay, number one, maturing fat cells. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about all these in a little bit more depth. Blood sugar spikes, that's a bad one. Cellular integrity and inferior supplements, things that you think are helping you, but maybe are not. So we'll look at each one of those individually. Okay. As we're looking at this, I threw this slide in here because I didn't want it to be a lecture, and I kind of want to, you can come back and rewatch this, but if you just let your mind wander for a little bit, what would it be like to live that life on the orange line and not necessarily the blue line or the gray line, and to be that much biologically above where you are now or where you may end up in 5 years? This picture seems to indicate you'd be smiling and wearing your AirPods and running around, but it would make a big difference in a lot of our lives, I would think. So just keep that in mind while we talk about what this could be. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the MetaPWR system. Okay. So the obstacles in metabolic health are, we talked about the four. So let's take a look at the maturing fat cells. And this is your adipose fat cells. And you can think of them like balloons as they go through a natural maturation process. They start out really small, not so much air in them. As those fat cells mature, they get older, they age, they actually grow in size until they are mature fat cells on the right there, where they're much larger. And what do larger fat cells do in comparison to smaller fat cells? They take up more space, they weigh more, they pull you down. So for that, doTERRA has introduced the MetaPWR metabolic blend. And that is, don't be intimidated, that's that's an oil. That's a blend of essential oils. I happen to have the product information sheet on here, but it has got a number of oils in it, including grapefruit, lemon, peppermint, ginger, and cinnamon bark. Nothing too threatening in there, and probably names we've all heard of before. But this blend has been shown in very small studies and initial studies to inhibit that fat cell maturation. It gets into that process, and basically you have fat cells that are not maturing from the small little bit of air all the way up to the large air. So you're keeping those fat cells small. In addition to that, this blend is also things that have commonly been associating with curbing your cravings. Ginger, that's a great one for digestion, and it's a great one for curbing your cravings, as well as peppermint, and then your citrus, your lemon and grapefruit. So this is a great metabolic aid to help you out there. So not only is it working against the fat cells, but it also kind of curbs your appetite. And since this is oil, a blend of oils, there's a number of different ways you can get it into your system, depending on what you want to do. If you like the simplicity of a soft gel, we put it in a soft gel. I like the simplicity of a soft gel, so I put it in the gel. But they also have it in the bottle, where you can put it straight, a few drops into water. It's got citrusy flavor with a little bit of cinnamon and ginger. Tastes really good. You can use the beadlets, which are like a really small soft gel, and they also have it in gum form. So however you want to get this blend into your body, whether you like chewing gum or the simplicity of taking a soft gel, you can do that. And that's going to really affect those fat cells, and it's also going to help with your cravings. Okay. Second obstacle is the blood sugar spikes. And the best analogy I've heard, and I've heard it in a few different places, not just doTERRA, is if you think about a car, you think about your blood sugar spikes as getting into your car and stepping on the accelerator and driving really fast, and then stepping on the brakes and coming back to slow speed. Okay, that's a spike in the speed. And if you run your car like that, it's not going to run very well. Things are going to wear out. Things are going to be overstressed. All kinds of crazy things are going on. Your blood sugar and your body are the same thing. If you are eating German chocolate cake for breakfast and then just going crazy, you're going to get that blood sugar spike, and it's going to take a toll on your body. So for that, doTERRA has a second supplement in this MetaPWR system called MetaPWR Metabolic Assist. And this one they don't have in oil form. This one is just in a capsule form. And what it's got in it is, it's got a number of things that I looked up earlier. But one of the main ones is, I always confuse the two, so I have to look it up. I do want to say elderberry. Mulberry. It is not elderberry, it is mulberry. It has mulberry extract, along with a number of other similar plant extracts. But what those do is they actually slow the absorption of your complex carbohydrates and simple carbohydrates. So as I'm reading here, the immunosugars of the mulberry interact with the digestive enzymes that metabolize carbohydrates, slowing the digestion so the glucose doesn't hit your bloodstream so quickly. So when you put that entire piece of chocolate cake into your mouth and you take your MetaPWR Assist here, first of all, you're not going to completely avoid a blood sugar spike. I'm sorry. You have to eat right a little bit. But that mulberry extract is actually interacting with the enzymes, and it's kind of tying them up so they can't go and interact with all those complex carbohydrates. And what it does is it creates a system where those complex carbohydrates are introduced and worked into the system more slowly, creating that constant, consistent, less up and down glucose spike. Okay. I can tell you personally, as I've aged and put on a little bit of weight, I used to have really bad blood sugar drops, and I would get sweaty and irritable and start to shake. I take my MetaPWR with my lunch, and those have been greatly, greatly reduced. I'm not saying I don't have any, but maybe several a month to, it's rare when I have one, maybe one every couple dash few months. So there's something going on with these, I think, that's really helping out my blood sugar. Okay. So that's the second, that's the MetaPWR Assist. There's the MetaPWR Blend and then the MetaPWR Assist. So a couple of supplements there. And then cellular integrity. This is the third one that is terribly important in your metabolic health. Okay. And there is something true about looking good and feeling good from the inside out. So I say this to tease that I'm going to talk about collagen. Okay. And you're probably familiar with collagen. It's either injected into supermodels' lips or it's for hair and nails. But that's wrong. That's another thing that's wrong, unfortunately. There are a ton of different types of collagen. You probably see collagen that says, 5 different types of collagen, or 3 different types of collagen, or bovine collagen, or this kind of technical name collagen, or that kind of technical name collagen. So this is MetaPWR Advantage. And these are little sachets, as they like to call them. Normal people call them packets of collagen powder that you mix in water, about 5 to 6 ounces of water, shake it up, take it down. And this is something that's going to, the different kinds of collagen in here are not necessarily designed to make your lips fuller or your hair and nails great. There is some of that, but this is really collagen that's bioavailable for the entire body. So you're going to look good on the inside. Your fascia and cartilage and ligaments and tendons are going to be stellar, and they're going to feel good. But this is something that definitely improves, in my opinion, it definitely improves that metabolic function in my body. And it's helped me feel better and move better, and just generally a great assist. Not to be confused with the MetaPWR Assist. This is a great advantage to have. I think I have another slide on this. So yeah, everything you've been told about collagen is wrong. So yeah, this is where it comes in. It's not just for supermodels' lips and hair and nails. There are different types of collagen that come from all kinds of different things. You've heard about marine collagen and bovine collagen and all kinds of things like that. So this MetaPWR Advantage has 12 times more bioavailability than other collagens that are out there. And I'm talking about like the stuff you buy on Amazon, the stuff you buy at GNC. This is specifically formulated to be really, really absorbable and usable by the body. There's 9 different types of collagen in here. I could look them up, but I am going to challenge you to go to doTERRA and search for collagen and look them up yourself. You will probably get a nice page here or some form of that will talk about type 1, type 7, type 4, and then talk about all the different uses in there. doTERRA is great for being very transparent and very open with their research and with all of their information. So you don't even have to log in to get this. You can go to doTERRA in any browser, look up their collagen, and they'll talk about the 9 different types that they have. Okay. That square activated by you, I personally think that's a marketing thing because it's in a powder form. It's not like already put in a drink. You got to put it in water and then shake it up and then drink it. So it's, you got to put some effort into it, and it makes you feel like you're important in the collagen's function, which there may be something about it or not. If you want to learn more, you can go ahead and click on, or you can go ahead and screenshot this, or you can go ahead and take a picture of that QR code and that'll take you out to doTERRA. But this is easily, you can go to doTERRA.com and search collagen, and I'm sure you'd find it. Okay. I do have to say this is marine collagen. Ha, I told you I wasn't going to tell you the 9 counts, but there they are. I should have really reviewed this a little bit more. Well, there's your 9 types of collagen. It is marine collagen. Unfortunately, there is no vegan or vegetarian option for this one. That's just the way it is. Some of these collagens you cannot get from plant-based sources. Stay tuned. doTERRA may have a solution for that. They are typically really good about including all kinds of dietary restrictions. I know that a lot of the other supplements have vegan options, vegetarian options, even the proteins got vegetarian options and things like that. So stay tuned. But if you want to scan these, you can go ahead and take a look at them. Collagen type Roman numeral for different things that support brain health, stabilizing other structures, malleable dermis and the epidermis. So there is one that's good for the skin. But a lot of these are really good for the internal structures of your body. So what's in this bad boy? So first of all, there is the MetaPWR metabolic blend, this guy in oil form. There's a bunch of marine collagen. There's all kinds of different extracts. And then over on the left-hand side, there's this nicotinamide mononucleotide. That's a fun one to say. Nicotinamide mononucleotide. And that is a precursor to the NAD plus that I talked about earlier that helps your ADP turn into ATP in the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Also, the NADH, which is a similar one that is a precursor to the NAD plus, and that helps increase the NAD plus concentration. Hyaluronic acid, that's a good one. If you don't know what it's for, look it up. That's a fun one. Resveratrol, I always screw that up, but that's another one that's incorporated or that's included in this whole NAD plus increase. And then you've got some fruit extracts, some phytoceraminides, and then the liposomal vitamin C and biotin. So a lot of different things in this one little sachet, or as humans like to call it, packet. Okay. So the fourth thing that can really mess with your metabolic health, can kind of get in its way, is inferior supplementation. This goes a little bit outside of the orange, white, and yellow branded MetaPWR, but this MetaPWR system with these supplements and the collagen, they were really designed to be used with the doTERRA's lifelong vitality supplements, and that's the 3-pack. That's got the micronutrients, macronutrients, and then the cellular health. Micronutrients, macronutrients, and cellular health support. And these two are really intended to be worked together. And I know it looks like we're just stacking stuff on, but you can't get everything you need from one pill. Otherwise, it would be the size of a softball. So that's just kind of the way it is. It is an important part of your metabolic health to make sure that you get the right stuff coming in, the right raw materials, the right levels of raw materials. So yeah, the MetaPWR system does go with the lifelong vitality supplements, and it's just helping each other out. We show that wellness pyramid, and it kind of looks like they're discrete sections, but they do all interact with one another. If you don't have good stuff going into your body and your body can't break it down, then there's no way you're going to have a good distribution system in your metabolic system. Okay. So Kris, how would you use this? That's a great question, Kris. This is sort of a sample, and it would be recommended as a starting point. Someone like me uses a little bit more, and I'll talk about mine after we just kind of go through this. But for a sample routine, in the morning, you might have a couple of drops from your metabolic blend in your water, and then a soft gel of your a soft gel of your MetaPWR with your lifelong vitality, your supplements. During the day, have one of the assist with lunch, another soft gel, and then maybe some beadlets or some of the MetaPWR blend gum if you're feeling the cravings. And then in the evening, another assist to help with those blood sugar spikes with your meal at dinner. Another soft gel, that would be your third of the day. And then you can also throw in some of the beadlets or the gum for cravings after dinner. I did make a mistake when I talked about the breakfast. I talked about the MetaPWR blend. I'm sorry, I meant the MetaPWR collagen. So breakfast, collagen, and a soft gel. Lunch, soft gel, and your MetaPWR assist to help smooth out those blood sugar spikes. And then same thing at dinner. Okay. So I typically in the morning, I have 2 of these packets, as we humans call them. I have 2 of these packets with water, and then my lifelong vitality. And then at lunch, I have both of the supplements. And then at dinner, I have both of the supplements. So that's how I use these. I tend to take double of the collagen for 2 reasons. One, I'm a big guy, and 2, I probably need a little bit more help just because of my current health situations in being a big guy who's got a lot of weight on it. So that in a nutshell is the MetaPWR system. The collagen, the different forms of the oils, and then that MetaPWR assist with the mulberry extract in it. I will invite you to do your own research or ask questions in the comments section on anything else that you haven't seen. Like I said, doTERRA is really great about putting the information out there. If you go out and search for MetaPWR, in their search, you'll probably be directed to one of a bunch of different things. Either they'll send you to some of the products where you can look up the product information page, or you can read about it there. They'll give you a link to the 3-step for metabolic health guide. And if you hate conserving printer ink, go ahead and print it out. Otherwise, you can just download it. There's even a course on it, and that's several videos broken up with knowledge checks through it. So it's if you're somebody that's really into taking required learning classes over and over at work, that's an awesome one for you. Or if you want to learn more about it and teach it to somebody else, excellent idea to take the course. So a lot of great information out there, and we could probably spend 3 or 4 hours talking about the exact mechanisms of the NAD+ and nicotinamide dinucleotide and all of those things. But that stuff is out there. If you're curious, look it up. I invite you to be. I want you to be involved in taking care of yourself. Don't take my word for it. Go check it out. Look at the resources, or look at the references in all of these, and go look at those studies. Look for NAD+ and NMN in other studies outside of doTERRA. This is really a science that's becoming more and more popular, and you're going to see more and more companies, wellness companies, kind of like doTERRA, trying to copy what doTERRA has already been putting out there for a long time. So go with the leader. Check out the doTERRA. Like I said, if you have questions, put them in the comments below. And that's pretty much what I have for everybody tonight. I'm glad that you spent an hour with me. I really appreciate your time. It's about 45 minutes, not too bad. This MetaPWR has been really significant for me. I've felt better. I've been told I look better. And it's really helped some of the noticeable health things in my life. I don't have those blood sugar crashes nearly as much as I used to. They've been significantly decreased by like more than 95%. So I can still get into trouble by doing things that I probably shouldn't, but these have been amazing. So thank you, everybody, again. And I hope you all enjoy the rest of your day. Stop recording.